Good morning, everyone. So today we're in our week 20, still in our Maritime English course. So for today, my name is Elaine, your instructor for today. So we will discuss first we will be having a review or a recap from our previous topic, okay? And then we will be discussing more regarding the maritime communication. Okay. So first, so it will be still our introduction for maritime communication protocol. So here I have some question for you guys, and then of course it will be also our um a recap. Okay. So I have here our first question. So according to the importance of maritime English course, or I mean the maritime communication, um, what is the primary reason of a maritime communication is essential for the safety of life at sea, or what we call the SOLAS? So, is it A for facilitating port coordination, enabling exchange of weather updates, or it is for distress alerting and search and rescue operations? And lastly, for preventing the private piracy. So what will be the main essential or importance of the what we call the SOLAS? So it is here, I have here already, it's the distress alerting and search and rescue operations. Okay, next. So here, which aspect of maritime communication contributes to maritime domain awareness and piracy prevention? Is it for efficient navigation? Is it for operational efficiency? Is it for environmental protection? Or letter D, it's for the security. So the answer is for the security. So next, in maritime communication facilitates port coordination, logistics, and business communications. Under which category? So is it A for safety and life of the sea or at the sea? Is it for efficient navigation? Is it for operational efficiency? Or is it for environmental protection? So, this is for the operational efficiency. So, next, here, the ability to enable exchange of critical navigation, information, weather updates, and hazard warnings falls under which importance aspect? Is it A for security, B for environmental protection, C for operational efficiency, and D is for the efficient navigation? So it says here it's for the efficient navigation. So next is the how does the maritime communication support the environmental protection? So it is by enabling faster cargo loading. Is it by supporting reporting of pollution incident? Or is it by providing better crew welfare? Or by providing the ship design? So this will be the by supporting reporting of pollution incident or anything accident that happen at the sea. So next, So here, which of the following is an example of a verbal communication method in maritime? Is this the semaphore, the VHF radio, the AIS or the Automatic Identification System, or the International Code of Signals, or what we usually use is commonly the flag? So this is the VHF radio. So another one. In the historical methods, pre-electronic era, so which method uses flags or arms to convey messages and is considered the non-verbal? Is it the sound signals, the VHF channel 16, is it the semaphore, or the public address system? So it says here it's the semaphore. So in historical, in the long ago, the method of communication of using flag is what we call the semaphore. So, which electronic communication system is described as an automatic tracking system using VHF transponders? So that's electronically exchange data for identifying and locating vessel. So is it the MF radio, the HF radio, Navtex, or the AIS? So it's the AIS, or what we call the Automatic Identification System. So next, the Mayday, Pan and Securat. Calls initiated on VHF channel 16. So, so these are the example of which type of information exchange method. So is it the nonverbal, electronic data transfer, verbal, or the visual signaling? So it's the verbal. So again, which of these is a non-verbal method? Information exchange, primarily used in the pre-electronic era. So is it the internal telephone system, the VSAT communication, the sound signals like horns and whistles, or the digital selective calling or the DSC? So it's the sound signals. Next. So which electronic communication system uses satellites to provide high-speed, always-on broadband connectivity for vessels? Is it the portable GMDSS radios, the EPIRBs, the VSAT or the Very Small Aperture Terminal, or the NAVTEX? So this is the VSAT. So here another one. In the public address system or the PA system, and the internal telephone or intercom system for communication within the vessel, these are primarily example of which method of information exchange. Is it the non-verbal, the verbal, or external electronic data, or the automated digital alerts? So it's the verbal. So here another one. The transmission of distress signal via 406 MHz detected by the SARSAT system from an EPIRB or the EPIRB is an example of what type of communication? Is it the verbal, non-verbal, electronic, or non-verbal sound? It's the electronic or showing the distress alerting. Next, the use of lights or navigation lights, flashing lights for specific purposes in the pre-electronic era is categorized as what type of communication? Is it the verbal, electronic, non-verbal, or usually the visual, or the digital? It's the oh, it's the non-verbal or usually the visual communication. Here I have here digital selective calling or the DSC on VHF channel 70, which sends specific pre-formatted digital calls, falls under which category of information exchange? So is it verbal, non-verbal, electronic, or mechanical? So it's the electronic. Which primary radio system is commonly used for short-range voice communication directly between two vessels. So it often for bridge-to-bridge purposes to discuss maneuvers. So is it the HF radio, the MF radio, the VHF radio, or the satellite communication or the SATCOM? So it is the VHF radio. Okay? That will be our the recap for our last topic about the communication. So I'll be discussing a bit more regarding this maritime communication or how they exchange information. So I have here the methods of information exchange in maritime. So here, this is the process of transmitting and receiving data, voice, and visual signals across the maritime domains. So this method also encompasses communication between vessels, like vessel to shore and internal vessel communication. So typically, this is the traditional verbal or the nonverbal communication to advanced digital systems. So I have the here what we call the ship-to-ship communication for a navigating safely together. So here, so it refers to the communication between the vessels at seas. So it is crucial for safety, navigation, and coordination. So the methods include the VHF radio, DSC, or the satellite communication, and visual and sound signals. So as I can say, the critically of communication. So this is the vastness and dynamic nature of the marine environment. This also the collisions are a major concern in maritime operation. So it includes the safety of life, environmental damage, and the economic loss. It can be also the human error, often stemming from poor communication, is a significant factor in collisions. So I have here the key aspect of the ship-to-ship communication. So first, of course, the safety and navigation. So the crucial for avoiding collisions, ensuring the safe maneuvering, and responding to emergencies. And next is the cargo transfer. So this is the essential for coordinating the transfer of cargo between ships, ensuring the smooth and efficient operations. And next is the coordinations of operations. So this is to facilitate communication between ships involved in joint operation such as a towage or the escort. Another one is the standardization. So this is the use of standard communication phrases and protocols like SL, CP to help to prevent the misunderstanding and ensure the clear communication. Lastly is the technology advancement. So this is the ongoing development in satellite technology, digital radio, and other technologies continues to improve the reality or the reliability and efficient of ship-to-ship communication. So we have here the what we call the big four or the essential uh, information sharing. So we have here the course, the speed, the intended maneuvers, and lastly, the potential hazards. So, but first, let's be discuss about the course. Course is usually knowing where you're going. So this, why is it crucial? So this it says it's predicting the potential closest point of approach or what we call the uh, the CPA. Another one is to understanding the aspect of the other vessels. Then identifying the crossing situations, head-on situations, or overtaking situations. So how is it shared? So it also have the VHF radio, that's the primary, and the AIS, or the Automatic Identification System, which automatically broadcasted. And lastly, the radar plotting. So next is about the speed. So speed is how fast you're moving. So how's the vessel moving? So this is calculating the time of the CPA, assessing the rate of change of bearing, determining if a vessel is making way or drifting, and of course, this is the planning of avoidance maneuvers. So, for example, reducing speed to allow another vessel to pass. So, how they do it? So, they shared it by using the VHF radio, also the AIS, and the radar plotting. So, I have here now the intended maneuvers. So, it eliminates the guessworks and uncertainty. So, it allows other vessels to anticipate and react appropriately. It also to avoid conflicts actions, compliance with the call regs or the international regulation for uh, preventing collisions at the sea. So, intended to maneuver, this is the planning and executing actions to change its course, speed, or the position. So, this is a complex process that requires careful planning, execution, and awareness of the surroundings environment to ensure the safe and efficient movement of the vessel. So, the potential hazard. So, this is to eliminate. Okay, so, the potential hazard, this is the operational hazards like the mooring or enclosing space entry. So, these are the risky directly related to the task performed on board. Okay, so we have actually we I think we have some different kinds or to elaborate more about regarding these hazards. So we have what do you call that, the operational hazards. We also have the security hazards. Okay, so here again, sorry, for the hazard, potential hazards. So this is any factors that could impede safe navigation or create risk collisions. So like the large fishing gear of your port bow, like that, or the vessel restricted in her ability to maneuvers. So it says here it's crucial because you need to alert other vessels to unseen or unexpected dangers. It also allow for um, proactive avoidance of obstacles or difficult areas. It also to promotes a shared understanding of the operational environment. It also very important to consider that it includes advising on own vessels limitations. Okay, so next we have here tools for effective ship-to-ship communication. So I know you'll be familiar with this. We have the VHF radio. So these are the primary means of voice communication. So the channel 16 is for the distress, urgency, safety calling. Channel 13 is for the bridge-to-bridge communication for navigation safety. It also for the importance of clear, concise, and standard maritime phraseology. The next one we have here is what we call the AIS, or the Automatic Identification System. So this one is to broadcast the vessel identity, position, and course speed status, and the destinations. So it also enables um, rapid identification and tracking of the other vessel. So it also have a limitation. So for example, not all vessels carry AIS. So meaning not all the vessel carrying or using the AIS. So next, we have here another one is the radar. So it provides range, vary, and often targets motion information. So aids in plotting and understanding the collision situations, and also ARPA, or what we call the Automatic Radar Plotting Aid for Advanced Collisions Assessment. We also have here what we call the visual observations and sound signals. So we have here the call regs. It indicates sound signals for maneuvering and restricted visibility. It also for the maintaining a proper outlook of the fundamentals. Okay. So next is for the um, avoidance of the collisions. So I think this is for the prioritizing the situational awareness. So by maintaining the visual and electronic lookout, adhering to the safety rules and regulations, and communications clearly with the other vessels or the vehicle. So we have here the proactive communication. So, meaning, don't wait until a situation be critical. So, meaning, if there's something happen that you can handle it first in a very minimal situation, don't wait that it will get worse or it will make more you will put more in a critical conditions. Another one is clear and concise language. So meaning use the standard maritime English or the SMCP. This is used for the standard maritime communication phrases. We have here the early action. So it take appropriate and ample action as required by the call regs. So the call regs are the international regulations for preventing the collisions at sea. Monitor relevant channel. So especially the VHF channel 16 and channel 13. Verify information. So the cross-reference information from different sources. So like the AIS, the radar, or the visual um, communication. Assumptions are danger. So never assume the intentions of another vessel. So this will lead for a misunderstanding or the miscommunication about the other vessel. So continuous lookout. Maintain a proper visual and auditory lookout at all times. So, so I have here. So it says here that the effective ship-to-ship communication is not just good practice. It also the fundamental requirements for the maritime safety. So, it is a shared responsibility among all mariners to contribute to a safe navigation environment. So, by consistently sharing information about the course, the speed, the intended maneuvers, and the potential hazards, we collectively mitigate the risk of the collisions or preventing the risk of collisions or any incidents. So, safety at the sea is no accident. So, here. So, a tips for the delivery. So, engage your audience. So, here. I have here the next is the ship to port communication. So, it is the exchanging information for efficiently entry and loading and unloading. Okay. So here, first is the importance of ship to ship. Ports are vital gateways for global trade and logistics. Okay? So the efficient port operations depend heavily on accurate and timely information exchange between the ship and port authorities. So, so the poor communication can lead to delays, increased cost, safety risk, and environmental issues. So, the goal here is the streamline of the entire process from approach the departure. So, there will be, should be an efficient communication that reduces the delays and ensure the safe and efficient port calls. So, if they have the clear communication, it responds to emergencies and maintaining securities, right? So here, so the pillars of ship to port communication. So this is the effective ship to port communication revolves around three critical categories of information. So we have here the ship's arrival details. So meaning this is the what, when, and where, right? The cargo information or what is being moved. Planned operations. So this is the what will happen as the birth. So this about more on the operations. So here, the ship's arrival details. So this is the welcome protocol. So we have here the estimated time of arrival or the ETA. This is the crucial for berth allocation, pilot scheduling, and tug availability. We also have the vessel particulars. So this is the name, the IMO number, call signs, flag, gross tonnage, length, beam, and draft. Last port of call and next port of call. So this is for the security and tracking. Health declaration. So this is will be the crew health status, pre- previous ports visited, or especially critical for disease prevention. Security information. So the ISPS code, compliance, or the security level. And lastly, about the crew list passenger list. So this is only applicable for the immigration and custom. So cargo information. So we have here the cargo manifest. So the detailed list of a cargo, like the type, quantity, weight, dimensions, and markings. Dangerous goods declaration. So, for hazardous materials, you have there the name, the class, and the packaging of proof. Reefer cargo requirements. This is the temperature settings for a refrigerated containers. Special cargo needs. So overdimensional, heavy lift, or live animals. Mm. We also have here the ballast water management plan. So this is for the environmental compliances. Okay. Planned operation. So this is what happens at the bird. So loading and unloading plan. So this is the sequence of operations, numbers of leaps, estimated durations. We also have the bunkering requirements. So it refers to the fuel type, quantity, delivery method, and time. Provisions and stores. So this is about the delivery schedules. We also have the waste management. So this is the disposal or the proper disposal of garbage, sludge, or the gray water. So for maintenance and repairs. So any planned work while you're in the port. Cruise shore, cruise shore leave request. So this is only for the immigration and security. So, and lastly, for the departure details. So, it refers to the estimated time of the departure or the ETD for their next destination. So we have here some list of benefits of an effective ship to port communication. So first is to reduce the port stay and quicker turn around. So this is to minimize idle time or maximize operational efficiency. Next is for the cost savings. So lower demurrage charges, optimize resource use like the fuel or other personnel, enhance safety. So for the better coordinations, it reduces the collisions risk, proper handling of the dangerous, dangerous goods, improved security. So this is the pre-arrival information aids threat assessment. We also have the environmental protection. So it's very important or benefits of the effective ship-to-port communication, the better waste management, ballast water control, supply chain resilience. So this is the predictable and reliable logistics flow. We also have the regulatory compliance. So, meaning this is the meeting internationally and local ports. Okay, so here is the role of the key stakeholders. So we have what we call the ship's master or the bridge team. So these are the responsible for providing the accurate and timely information. We also have the ship agent. So this is the acts of the central point of contact for the vessel in port, coordinating services. We also have the port authorities. This is to manage the traffic, allocate berths, and provides the navigation assistance. The terminal operators. So these are the responsible for cargo handling and stevedoring. We also have the custom and immigrations. So for border control and manifest review. We also have this personnel, the pilots and dogs. So they are the one responsible for safe navigation for port limit. Bunkering, provisioning, waste disposal service. So they are the one coordinate their activities with the ship. Okay, and that's it for today. It that will be my discussion for today, or our topic for today, about the um, methods of um, communication, maritime communication, or the exchange informations. So again, this is your instructor Elaine, and thank you for your listening.